Hey, what's up everybody? G1 Climax Night 3. This happened in Yamagata, Japan. This is another small city. Only about 250,000 people live here. It's south of Aomori, but probably still considered to be in northern Japan. It's about 2.5 hours from Tokyo. Couldn't learn too much about this town. There wasn't a ton of information I found online about it. I guess there's a castle there. And one funny thing I learned is it seems like every town in Japan has like 3 or 4 festivals, like weird festivals that happen every year. Like this town, I guess, has one of the best beef stew festivals in all of Japan. But there's a nearby town close to Yamagata where I guess 95% of all the chess pieces in Japan are manufactured there. And every year this town has a human chess game where people dress up as, bishops and rooks and whatever, and they have a human chess game. So I thought that was kind of neat. But the crowd for this night was not as hot as Aomori was. The crowd was really dead at a few points, and there was a few outcomes in the matches that really killed the crowd and hurt my feelings too, because some of my favorites lost tonight, and it was just a bit of a bummer. This show was a bit of a bummer for the beginning portion. Definitely, probably the worst night so far of the tournament, although near the end of the show we got some good matches and it kind of made up for it, lifted my spirits a bit, but I'm not going to have a ton to say about this night. The first match, also I want to say I'm sorry that I haven't been mentioning the blocks, A block and B block, and it would actually be, a lot more enjoyable for me if I remembered what block everyone was in. So as painful as it might be before the next show, I'm going to figure out what block everyone's in, write it down, and I'll tell you what block each match was from. The first match was Tomoaki Hanma versus Doc Gallows. This was a bummer, man. Gallows won with a Baldo bomb. That really broke my heart. It really bummed out the crowd too. So now Hanma's 0-3, Gallows is 1-2. This match was, Hanma was, he was great, awesome as always, but doing a lot of his typical spots. He missed the headbutt a few times, and it was a pretty short match. Gallows wasn't too impressive, hit a bunch of big moves on him, but not a great way to start the show, just kind of a forgettable match. Then we had Carl Anderson versus Lance Archer. This was not a whole lot of fun. The crowd was dead silent here. Even the crickets were quiet during this one. Lance Archer was just insufferable in this one with all the screaming and the crazy faces and acting like a psycho. Just really comes off as not believable. And I just watched the UFC this weekend. It was a really good show from UFC, but no one in an actual fight ever makes a mean face or screams like an animal or tries to intimidate their opponent in that way. I don't care too much for realism, but that's not important to me. But sometimes this a gaijin heel shtick that a lot of these guys have, it's just out of control. And another thing that happened in this match, Carl Anderson hit his bicycle kick to Lance Archer in the corner, and he screamed, "Archer!" Screamed out his name before he hit him. And that happens a lot. I've seen that for a long time on the indies and in Japan, and I don't really understand that. Why would you scream someone's name before you hit them? It seems so strange, I guess just the correlation between, normally when you're screaming someone's name, it's because you're having sex with them. So, I don't know, that's just always seemed really strange to me. But either way, this match was not so awesome, and Lance Archer won, so now he's 1-1, and Carl Anderson's 0-3. Then we got Yujiro Takahashi versus Hiroyoshi Tenzan. This was a bit better than the first two matches, but still pretty forgettable. Yujiro was healing it up, and the crowd was into Tenzan, but nothing too memorable about this match either. Now Tenzan is 2-1, and Yujiro is 1-2. Tenzan won with, he made him tap out actually with the old Cobra Clutch crossface that Delirious used to use. Then we had Shelton X Benjamin versus Tomohiro Ishii. Man, this really broke my heart. Shelton Benjamin won with the pay dirt. Now he's 3-0. Ishii's 1-2. Man, I never really thought of Shelton Benjamin as a big guy, but he German suplexed Tomohiro Ishii in this match, and It looked like he was suplexing a baby. Like he was so much bigger than him. It was crazy. He's not a huge guy, but that's part of his appeal, I guess. Makes him a better underdog. Man, Benjamin is just a charisma black hole these days. He's really one of my least favorite people in this tournament. When he was younger, you know, back in '03 to '05 in WWE, I thought, you know, his lack of charisma wasn't that big of a deal because it's WWE, there's tons of charismatic and wacky characters all around, and him just being kind of a straight man was fine. And he was really young and athletic at the time, so that was okay. But now that he's older, and it's just a bummer, man. I don't like watching him wrestle. Alright, and then the match before intermission was Tetsuya Naito versus Toru Yano, and I was very pleasantly surprised by this match. This one was a whole ton of fun. Really lifted my spirits. Definitely the best match of the first half of the show. Toru Yano was doing his typical, you know, goofy faces and his cheating and everything in this match. You know, he took off the turnbuckle pad. They kind of overdid that spot. Naito hit the exposed turnbuckle like 5 times. But Yano was doing all this cheating that he usually does, but on this night the crowd didn't like it and they were booing him, so it was kind of funny. It was like he was just an actual heel, even though he usually gets cheered for doing all this heelish stuff. They didn't like it because he was doing it to Naito. The match really had, the big turning point in the match was it went to the outside and Yano threw a chair at Naito and busted him open. And then after that, this match just got really serious and it was a lot of fun. And I really liked seeing Yano as a heel, especially with all his goofy mannerisms. That was a lot of fun, and this got a decent amount of time, and Naito won with the Stardust Press, which was pretty brutal. It looked like his thigh hit Yano right on the jaw, but this was pretty cool. I really like this one. Pleasantly surprised. Naito is now 2-1, and Yano is 1-2. Whew, just a video-making fool these days. The first match back from intermission was Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus Shibata, and I was pleasantly surprised by this match also. I know I was pretty hard on Harry Smith on the last video, but he did a lot better in this match. He was much more realistic. He didn't do a lot of his goofy, angry guy faces, didn't do a lot of screaming. There was a much more realistic and subtle performance in this match, and I really liked it. He was really good in this one, and Shibata was awesome as well. This match was quite different than most of the other matches on the show. It was more of like a, not quite shoot style, but there was a lot of mat wrestling, a lot of submission attempts from Shibata, and pretty good selling from Davey Boy Smith. He impressed me in this match. I really liked what he did here, and Shibata got the win with a... I don't even remember how he got the win. I'm sorry, guys. A lot of these matches just kind of come and go out of my head. I've been watching so many lately, but Shibata won somehow, and this was a pretty good match. Nothing to set the world on fire, but I enjoyed it. No, wait. Oh no! Actually, Shibata didn't win. This was another one that really broke my heart, actually. Fudge. Davey Boy Smith Jr. won with, I think, a sit-out powerbomb. That was a bummer, actually, yeah. So now Shibata's 1-1 and Davey Boy's 1-1. I guess I just blocked that out of my memory. Damn, that sucks. Decent match, though. And then we had Yuji Nagata versus Bad Luck Fale. Fale won with, actually, his Bad Luck Fall, which is a razor's edge, but like a jackknife razor's edge. Kind of like a combination of Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon's finishers. It's just a razor's edge where he just drops him, and it looks pretty dangerous, and it was pretty impressive when he hit it on Yuji Nagata. It looked like he fell like 50 feet or something, but that's how he defeated him. Nagata tried his best, and he was really fun in this match. It was fun seeing him. For some reason, it was just really fun seeing him slam this big giant dude around. But Fale, he was kind of fat and slow in this match, and he got the win. Man, there was a lot of bummers on the show. I guess you could call them upsets, but I'm just going to call them bummers. Bad Luck Fale is now 2-1, and Yuji Nagata is 1-2. Alright, so now on to the good stuff. This is when the show got pretty damn good. left everyone on the way home happy, I'm pretty sure. Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto. This was my favorite match of the night, and I'm so happy we got to see a real classic Minoru Suzuki performance. I've heard that he's been kind of dialing it in lately and been kind of lazy in a lot of lame feuds and just lower on the card, which is unfortunate because this guy is he's just about everything I love about pro wrestling. Suzuki is he's just such a huge personality, such a terrifying man, and he was out of control in this match. Just out of control. At one point, Goto kept chopping him and chopping him harder and harder, and Suzuki just started laughing, and then he slapped the shit out of him. And then for whatever reason, he just put him into the laziest headlock I've ever seen and leaned up against the ropes and just looked so bored. Like, okay, go ahead, do your counter where you push me to the other side. That was hilarious. And Suzuki, it was just really stole the show here with this match, and he was just being a wacky weirdo, and he beat the hell out of Goto. It was it was actually getting kind of starting to look a little unsafe. But Goto actually got the win with this really crazy roll-up. Like, I've never seen anything like it. I don't even know how to describe it, but he tangled both of their legs up together and then flipped forward and rolled up Minoru Suzuki and got the win out of nowhere. And then Suzuki got really pissed and beat up one of the ring boys. But yeah, this was just a blast. Suzuki was he was just something else tonight. His personality. If you've never seen Minoru Suzuki versus Kenta Kobashi for the it was a title match in Noah a while back. That's a Minoru Suzuki match I always think about, and he's in rare form in that match. Check that one out if you haven't seen it. Alright, so then we got the Satoshi Kojima versus... Okay, wait. Goto is now 3-0. Minoru Suzuki's 0-2. Not sure if I said that already. Satoshi Kojima versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. This was a good match, but for the first, I'd say like 3/4 of it, it was kind of standard. They hit their moves, but there was nothing not like a super interesting sequence or tension going on in the match. But near the end, Satoshi Kojima hit a clothesline on Tanahashi, who was on the top rope, and then he fell to the floor, and from that point on, the match got really good. Kojima just started taking control, got a lot of really good near falls. He hit a really hard lariat on Tanahashi that he kicked out of. Tanahashi kicked out of an Emerald Flosion as well, and eventually Tanahashi just won by the skin of his teeth with a high fly flow. So the beginning portion of this match wasn't too interesting, but by the end it got pretty damn good. So now Tanahashi's 3-0 and Kojima's 1-2. And then for the main event, we had Kazuchika Okada versus Togi Makabe. And man, Makabe has improved so much. Back when he was the champion in New Japan, he was a lot of fun, but kind of a goofy character, and there was definitely room for improvement, and he has improved a ton. I just think his selling and his facial expressions are so much more realistic and believable nowadays. He actually seems like a real person, whereas before he was just this goofy, silly character. Now he seems like a real person, and I'm surprised, but he's slowly becoming one of my favorite people to watch in this tournament. He's got himself into pretty damn good shape, and his selling was really good in this match. At one point he got a really close near fall, and just the look on his face when he was looking at the ref asking for 2. I know it's a really cliche spot, but the look on his face was just so believable. And he was selling his jaw once again in this match. Okada was fine, but Makabe really stole the show in this one, and Okada got the win with a Rainmaker. So now Makabe is 1-2. Okada is 3-0, and the two guys who had the night off were Nakamura and AJ Styles. Alright, so that was this show. Nothing too memorable on here. Best match of the night, I would say Suzuki and Goto, just short and sweet, and Suzuki just... it was a match like... a match only Suzuki could give you. And second best match of the night, I'm going to say Naito and Yano. And then third, Okada and Makabe. And then Kojima and Tanahashi. So that was that. Gonna go on and watch Night 4. I've heard it's really good. Last year's night 4 of the G1 was considered show of the year by a lot of people, and I've already heard rumors that this night 4 is also going to be in contention for show of the year. So I'm excited to see that. All right, guys.